The lives of children are filled with imagination and fantasy. Thus, they often wonder what it would be like to be someone else. A princess, a president, an all-star athlete. To maintain accuracy, writers use both primary and secondary sources. Primary include diaries and letters, photographs, and interviews with people who knew the person. Secondary include books and newspaper articles written by someone other than the biographical subject. Writers consult a variety of sources to maintain accuracy. There are two types of sources: primary, which includes diaries and letters, photographs, mementos, historical records, and interviews with people who knew the person. Secondary sources are books and newspaper articles written by someone other than the biographical subject. There are three approaches that authors choose from when writing biographies: historical, sociological, and psychological. In the historical biography, the writer uses a timeline focusing on dates and events, often covering the entire lifespan of the subject. The sociological biography describes life during a historical period, providing details about family life, food, education, the economy, and any other relevant information. Examples of this would be the Great Depression. There are a number of activities that can be used to teach students to write autobiographies. Here are a couple of my favorites. This is a me box. Students select a shoebox or any container of that size and decorate it in a way that fits his or her personality. They are to collect objects and pictures representative of their lives that will fit inside the box. Examples would be hobbies, accomplishments, or special memories. Next, they write explanations for each object that is placed inside the box. Here we see an example of a biography poster. Students can present information about the person they have learned about in a variety of ways on a poster. Posters can include examples such as a portrait of the person, famous quotes, illustrations, or poems. For the next portion of the presentation, I'd like to take a look at the significant change in the role of women in literature over the last century. Previous to the mid-1900s, the role of women in literature was relegated to no more than pious child-rearing. The first book with photographs was none other than The Girl Who Found the Bluebird, A Visit to Helen Keller, published in 1913 by Georgette LeBlanc. The first half of the 20th century ushered in the first series books with pictures, such as the famous American series. The style at this time always included lesson teaching. Not until 1946 did the first picture book arrive in the fashion of what picture books are like today, that is, the larger size, full color, and shorter text. Pocahontas by Ingrid and Edgar Dulaire featured a stereotypical and condescending portrayal of Native Americans and moral platitudes. The turning point came in the second half of the 20th century as photographs made liberal use of their subjects at various ages and at critical times. Modern women as well as historic figures began to be dealt with. Let me demonstrate how the writing style changed by reading the intro of Florence Maman White's First Woman in Congress, Jeannette Rankin. "Jeannette, Jeannette!" It was her father's voice, urgent. Jeannette was about to mount her mare. Instead, she turned to see John Rankin hurrying toward her, leading his favorite horse by the reins. Why was he walking, she wondered. Was there something wrong? She ran toward him. As they drew close to each other, her eyes opened wide with horror. Blood was gushing from the horse's right side. "What happened, Father?" Jeannette asked anxiously. "Got caught on a barbed wire fence. Get a needle and thread, Jeannette, quickly." As her father led the injured horse into the stable, Jeannette ran to the house. In a few minutes she returned with strong thread and a darning needle, a large clean towel, and a bucket of hot water. The 12-year-old girl got down on her knees, washed the open sore, then carefully sewed together the torn flesh. The wounded animal writhed in pain. "You'll be fine, boy," she whispered as she laid a comforting hand on the horse's head. He turned his grateful eyes upon her. "Good work, Jeanette. You've done a fine job." Her father's voice was filled with admiration. The first bilingual biography wasn't published until 2004. My name is Celia, The Life of Celia Cruz. Me llamo Celia, La Vida de Celia Cruz by Monica Brown. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation on life stories, autobiographies, and biographies, and that you'll take time to curl up with a book of someone that interests you soon.